We are weeks into 2025, and Valve has released multiple updates for their games like Left 4 Dead, Portal 2, and CS2. But more importantly, they added a change that affected all of their games by hiding details for future updates. Since 2025 started, one of Valve's biggest announcements was SteamOS expanding beyond Steam Deck. When we talked about it in my video originally, this was the blog, but Valve updated it and changed a word to make it more specific. The one on the left is the original, while the one on the right is new, making it clear that the beta is for handheld devices and isn't the PC installer that was previously mentioned by Valve. So if you are waiting for this SteamOS beta for a handheld device, it is only a few months away. Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 got their first updates for 2025. Fix exploits used to crash remote servers. Left 4 Dead wasn't the only old source game getting updated, as we saw the frog branches for Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, Counter-Strike source, and Day of Defeat source get updated. If you missed it when these first popped up, Valve is working on updating these games to a 64-bit port, as the executables have already been spotted. But talking about branches, Valve has made a big change to them, which is going to change how we track future updates across all of their games. Before we go into these new branch changes that happened behind the scenes, Valve has also released Crownfall's final bow, announcing it will end shortly in a few weeks on Thursday, February 6th. There has also been a lot of news for Half-Life 2 RTX, which involves early leaked screenshots of gameplay and different models. If you want to check out more of this leaked gameplay, make sure you check out my last video. But Nvidia has also announced that later this year, a native GeForce Now app will be coming to the Steam Deck. Portal 2 also received its first update of the new year that fixed exploits used to crash remote players. They even dropped a new update for the Steam client, which got re-released the next day with a few more fixes. Some players though noticed when Valve added new sprays to Half-Life, there was a gorilla spray they never showed. For Half-Life's 25th anniversary update, Valve showed off 43 different sprays, but recently, Murphy noticed Valve added 44 sprays instead, having one of them not shown. So although Valve said that these sprays are from further data, this gorilla one that Valve didn't show off is actually from Half-Life Alyx. New heroes have been released for Deadlock. These have been available in the Hero Labs, but are now available to use in any other match. In the Steam announcement, Valve says expanding our roster is one of our major goals in 2025, but they also announced a change to the pace for Deadlock updates, where instead of a big update every 2 weeks, which was the previous Deadlock schedule, they found that the fixed 2-week cycle made it more difficult to iterate on certain changes internally. Going forward, major patches will no longer be on a fixed schedule. These patches will be larger than before, although a little bit more spaced out. We look forward to fleshing out the game in the new year. Valve even announced the new map pool for the Austin Major, but still haven't updated the map pool in-game. That said, Valve did just announce Premier Season 2, which will be taking place next week. It will be coming with a new map pool change and a recalibration for your CS rating. If you earned a CS rating during Season 1, which has 1 week left, you will receive a Premier Season medal. This also marks an interesting change for Counter-Strike and Valve, where they're now announcing the updates a week before they actually come out, when normally they would post these updates hours or even a day after the update actually released. They also confirmed that the M4A4 is getting a price adjustment. Multiple updates have already released for CS2 in 2025, including the Shanghai sticker sale and the removal of the heat-treated deagle from the armory. Valve has announced the International 2025, taking place in Germany throughout the month of September. So here we are, weeks into 2025 with all these different updates, but Valve actually had a bigger change that affects all of their games and wasn't mentioned in any patch notes. If you watched old videos on the channel where we talked about future updates, it usually involves some password protected branch, whether it's the DPR, aka Dev Pre-Release for CS2 updates, the test branch, which was for the Half-Life anniversaries, or Frog, which is for porting to 64-bit. Valve would use these branches for future updates, and we would track when changes would be made to them. It was a very effective and accurate method. If Valve was updating or adding a new private branch to any of their games, you could assume something was on the way. It's exactly how we knew of the Half-Life 2 anniversary update months before it released. Of course, you could have just assumed with it being Half-Life 2's 20th anniversary, but the test branch gave concrete evidence Valve was working on something. There was even times Valve publicly gave out the passwords to some of these branches to test changes on a larger scale before pushing it completely live. But in November 2024, Steam implemented changes to its password-protected branches, converting them into fully private branches. This new system makes these branches completely invisible in the app info data, preventing third-party services like SteamDB from detecting or tracking changes to these branches, or even knowing they exist at all. But at the time, branches for Valve remain trackable, in the sense you could still see DPR updates for CS2 or any of the other similar branches for their games. That was up until just a few days ago, where Valve has made all of their password-protected branches private. So earlier in the video, when we talked about the updates to the Frog branch for the 64-bit port to old source games, well, that was before this update, and now going forward, we won't be able to track them. Although people in the CS2 community have been really vocal about this change, this really affects all Valve games and the entirety of Steam. For example, Half-Life Alyx has its 5-year anniversary in only a few months, but its password-protected branches are now private and no longer trackable, so we won't be able to actually know if something's coming with this same method. Feel free to speculate on why you think Valve may have implemented a change like this, seeing as they had this information public for so long and really didn't seem to care, at least until now. If you are a casual Valve fan, well, this may not really affect you, as if Valve is working on an update, you would still get the update either way, but now you just won't know for sure, which just means more surprises that you could see as a good thing. So what does Valve have planned for 2025?